first time ever, first in a chance, a video on financial advice. I don't really like doing financial advice videos, but what's going on in this country right now, we all will admit we are definitely seeing uptick in the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of service, and the cost of needs like cars. So, with the income not being able to catch up with the rising costs, and costs have jumped up rapidly since 2020, if not even faster since 2022. I'm going to show you some tips on how to save some money without even seeing it because the problem right now, everyone has been shifted or pushed into using direct deposits. So technically, we cannot see our money, but we know it's there because we only have a few times to go into our bank account apps, look at what we have deposited, and then by the time Monday comes around, we have paid our bills, and then the rest of the bills are auto drafted. So you're down to like $200, and that's gotta stretch you for the next 2 weeks of your pay period. And that's the problem. Our money is going so fast now. Some people it's gone the same day, like myself. And we're having to have two people in a household to work to compensate for this because cost is going up faster than our income. On average, we're getting about $1 a year for a raise. Some companies are giving out maybe quarterly bonuses or yearly bonuses. But like my job, they have taken away quarterly bonuses and now they're shifting to yearly bonuses, which, if you think about it, some people say, oh, well, that's not bad. You get all of that in one pay. No, you don't. All your bonuses are dependent on the job's performance. That includes your performance. So if the job is not doing well that year, guess what? Your bonus won't be as big as the prior year or the year before that. In turn, the jobs are raising their product costs. The people who are importing the products are raising the cost of receiving their products or selling their products. The people who are actually making the products, they're raising the price just a little bit. But the buyers of those products are raising the prices higher. And so when you're actually getting these products or these services, you're paying twice as much because you have no choice. So the narrative and the talk that we used to hear, oh, you should save a little bit here, put some money aside there, but all that's gone because the other problem that we're seeing is every time you open your computer or your phone, or if you have a tablet still, most people are shifted away from tablets. What you're seeing is a lot of ads, a whole lot of ads. And that's becoming a problem because it's psychologically tricking you into spending more than you can save, especially with everything now microtransactions, subscription based, and auto pay. So there's some apps that's been floating around for a while for financial reasons, and in a way, they're offering ways to save and to invest your money, but unfortunately, they are benefiting from it anyway. But they're good tools to use because a lot of the financial savings options are shifting away from banks. It's making banks outdated. And for right now, this would be a great time to take advantage of this. They have raised their interest gains for the consumer 2% higher than what most banks are offering. So, what we're going to look at is whenever you're using your direct deposit, there's methods of skimming off of your direct deposit and using that money to get put into a savings account. Now, what I use is what they call IRAs. And I had to do some digging because I was first told use a CD. But I realized when I finally looked into it at the time, CDs only give you a small limited amount to save up to. and the interest on it was fairly low. I was like, nah, that's not attractive. Maybe if you was in the age of the 70s and 80s, yeah, because money went a long way back then. But at the time when I was looking at it, it wasn't enough. So I backed out of that, and I started looking into these financial apps, and I was like, oh well, now the first thing was that the financial apps was allowing you to invest in the stock market with just $1. Now before that, they had companies like E-Trade or e-commerce, which I was trying to get into. They required you to have $1,000 to $10,000 to invest. You couldn't have no more. I think they still require that. So I was like, that's not gonna work. So I said, okay, let me try these apps out. So one of the first apps I've actually looked into was the Acorns app. And what's nice about Acorns is it gives you a miniature savings style account that allows you to take your spent amount and round it up to the next dollar or more, and it withdraws that rounded up amount and adds it into a stock portfolio. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how Acorns work. And yes, this is basically my account. I just started playing with it. I had a little bit more in it, but I took some out to knock out some bills. So I will not hide the fact, yes, I am struggling too. But as you can see, I have the roundup options turned on, and I have the recurring monthly uh, withdrawals going into it. So I'm contributing $25 a month. And then here, this is a IRA I just started about a few weeks ago. And right now, um, with the stock market going down, it is a little lower, but I have about $5 going into it every month. So one of the nice things about the roundup option was, which was the first thing that I started with, you can set how much you want to have rounded up from all your purchases, and then once, let's see, so basically like the remaining amount. Let's just say you bought something, you spend about $21.67, right? So what you would do is you have this option set to how much you want it rounded up to. Right now, mine is at $1. So what it's going to do is going to take the change, the cent portion of your $21.67, right? And it's going to round it up 33 more cents. And that's going to give you a total dollar. And then it's going to take what it is set at. Right now, mine is set to withdraw, I think, uh, every $5. But right now, it's showing you as an example. Every time you make a purchase, it'll round up to the next dollar, and it will invest it. Now, it doesn't take a dollar every time you purchase something. Like I said, I think it pulls after so much. I think mine's set to pull like every $5 or so, but you can set all that up. Now, of course, in this type of app, you still need in this type of app, you still need a bank account linked. So you definitely need to look at that. And once your bank account is linked, you'll be able to have your money pulled from that account if you're using a debit card, and it will invest it. Now, if you want to use your credit cards, you can. You can link your credit cards, and every time you use your credit card, it will round up the amount to the next dollar and invest it. So it really depends on what you want to use. I think I have um, all of my credit cards tied to it, and then my bank account. But I use my debit card like a credit card, which I'll probably make another video about why I do that. And so most of my transactions that are rounded up come from my bank account. So that is one way you can start saving money. And it pays off because after a while, it starts to add up. And in your investment portfolio, when the stock market goes up, you actually gain interest on that. And if you're mindful of your interest gains, you can actually withdraw the exact amount of interest. So to see your interest, this will show you the total interest, and this will show you the interest gain for that day. So you can actually withdraw your total interest for that day if you choose to. You can actually look at your whole yearly amount. So one way to look at that is you have your different time periods, day, month, year. Well, you actually have year to date, year, 5 year, all. So, like I said, you have your daily interest gains, and then you have the percentage. So, if you want to actually take out your interest gain, you can. It depends on how much you want. So, keep in mind, only take out the positive interest gains. Don't worry about your interest loss because you're going to gain it back, especially when the stock market is doing well. But if you're strategically paying attention to your stocks or your stock portfolio, I would say weekly pull out your interest gain that matches what was already put in. And then you'll keep what was put in, and then you'll take off the extra money that you gained or the free money. And that's how you can start building your savings. But make sure you also transfer that small amount of money into a separate account that you do not want to touch. And then you'll start slowly building up a savings without even looking at it. Sometimes you may forget unless you're very addicted to your phone. You might be in and out your app. But I prefer to not even look at your financial apps that often. It keeps you out of your money or worrying about your money. See, I don't look at my financial apps except about once a week. Sometimes I don't look at them at all because I know money's going into it. And by the time I look at it again, I've had like about 4 or 5 deposits into it, and I'm surprised about how much I accumulated. So it really helps. But I do tell people about Acorns. Um, it's a very basic app. It already has everything set up as portfolios, which is preset portfolios with stock options in them. You have a couple of bonds and a couple of new digital currencies in it, and you pick whether you want a low risk, moderate risk, and a high risk. Whichever risk you pick will be the amount of interest you gain on the money that you have invested. So it's basically a really good investment to work with as far as savings. It's basically a deposit and forget, and then you'll be surprised how much you'll stock up because it's borrowing off of the idea every penny saved is a dollar earned, and that's where the roundup system takes off from. That's what caught my attention. And now that we don't have piggy banks or banks or whatever, that system is a good way to save a little bit of money off of your purchases, and it helps. Like a few dollars skimmed off of your purchases makes a big difference. You won't even notice it because a lot of people are unfortunately using every extra unspent dollar on streaming services now or other services, or unfortunately next day shipping to 3 day shipping, depending on what they want to offer. And a lot of times we're becoming impatient with services, relying on services rather than realizing if I'm patient enough, I can actually save some money instead. Because at the end of the day, they're going to keep raising the cost faster than we can even keep up. And it's going to be very, very hard. So this is called the Acorns app. It's one of the few that was started a couple of years ago, I think, and I can't really say, but I think around 2017, I was looking into it and I got into it and I started with it. Now, Robinhood is another app that I started. I believe I started a year after I heard some people talking about it. This was more of a financial app, stock market driven. Same ease of use. You make your account. You go ahead and set up a bank account where you can do your transfers, and you'll have options to transfer money to and from your accounts. You can do a direct deposit. You can do wire transfers. Now, I have Robinhood set up for a direct deposit also. Reason being is they have a new retirement feature they added a few years ago. I can't think how far back, but you now can actually use their savings system slash bond system called IRA or Roth IRA. And in here, you can actually save up to $7,000. Now, with the interest gains on the IRA, it most likely will go higher than that. But what's nice about this, and it's hard to see it. I might try to zoom in. Okay, so as you can see, what's nice about your IRA match percentage, every $1,000, they match it 10% higher than the next. So most IRAs are contributed to a maximum of 7,000, but your interest match will go above that. And it's really nice because that's to be honest, that's more than what a bank will offer, honestly. So what I did was you have contributions, you have other little minor options that you can set up with your IRA. And how I contributed is I have my direct deposit from my job skim off a small amount directly into my IRA. I started that and it was a nice accumulation. Now, this will show you how much you contributed total, and this will keep track every time. So, when I first started back in, I would say 2020, well, actually, I started around the end of 2022. So between 2023 and 2024, I was contributing a small amount. I think I started with $5 and I incremented it up every $5. So with this, I was able to save up to $332. And what's nice is it matched it. And it also it gives you a little bit of an interest gain depending on what you tie it to. If you want to tie it to um, some stocks, but I don't have this tied to any stocks because again, you will lose a little money here and there if you do. So I'd rather take a part of the interest matching, and that's all I do. And when you need your money, um, Robinhood takes about 2 to 3 days to get your money back. Acorns, I didn't mention this, but Acorns, when you withdraw your money, it takes about 3 to 5 days. Now, it sounds like, oh man, that's not fast enough, but you have to look at it like this. When you want to really save, especially in this consumer advertising driven world we're now pushed into, you don't want to touch your savings right away because then it puts you into the trap of spending. And that's what these businesses want you to do. They want you to spend, spend, spend so they can get rich. What you're wanting to do is trying to reach a level of wealth that will sustain you and keep you in a survivability mode. because they're going to always be millions of dollars ahead because these guys was built off of generational wealth from the 20s to the 50s. Some coming off of generational wealth from the 70s and 80s. If you're not in that family, this is what you're going to have to do because they tricked us into advertising consumerism. So you have to spend more because they made us spend and they raised the price up. And so you're spending more. So you have to find a way to save and not touch that money. So direct deposit is a sneaky way of not seeing your money. It's quicker. You don't have to go to the bank and drive here and drive there, cash a check. But it kind of takes you away from your money. And it's kind of like, oh, here's your money, but you just kind of forget about it because you're getting paid anyway. So you have to use your savings as a get your money and forget option also. So that's what's nice about that. I respect the fact it takes longer to get your money because it helps you budget a little bit better. Definitely budget a little bit better. So another app I started with is called Fidelity. They are actually a banking company slash financial company. And the nice thing about Fidelity is out of all the few financial banking companies I've looked in, they have the most flexible options to work with. Again, I had two IRAs with this banking company, and I have my main IRA tied to a financial portfolio. And again, same setup as far as contributing. You set up a bank account into the IRA or other financial options you want to use. It's good to have at least two tied to it. I have two tied to it. And once you have that set up, you use your direct deposit again as a means to contribute. So you can start with $5 for this one also. You can start with $1, it doesn't matter. But I do $5 because every pay period, $5 twice a month is 10 and it adds up. So once you contribute into your other IRA savings accounts, you actually technically you're doubling up in all respects. And once you have this going in automatically and you don't look at your banking apps, you're not going to think about it until one day, oh, let me see how much I saved, and then bam. As you can see, I was able to save quite a bit, almost up to 1,000 before I actually paid some bills off, which is unfortunate. But that's the problem. Like again, with the cost of living going up, you're gonna have to dip into your savings here and there. But without that savings, I would still be in a certain level of debt than I am now. I mean, realistically, and I'm showing you all this because I am talking at a level of low income families and middle to low income families to middle income families. I'm kind of on the upper tier of the middle income to upper class income, but with the cost going up, I might as well say I'm pretty much middle class, period. But as you can see, over a year's time, I started around April. I've almost saved up $1,000 just that quick, and that's basically just contributing directly into the IRAs, and it's direct deposit, automatic. And what I did was if you kind of look at the spike here, what I did was I took a increment of small amount and I increased it. I think I increased. In fact, what I was doing was I was paying a bill. Um, Once the bill was paid off, because it had to be paid via direct deposit only, that was the only option, which sucks. I shifted that same bill amount into my IRA, and that's why I had the spike in savings, and it pays off. And then later I opened up another IRA, and I'm depositing into that. So, in conclusion, the best way to really save these days is to use some of the financial apps that have IRAs. You do have matching amounts; it will match your deposit. Plus, you can also get a little extra interest gains if you invest into a portfolio, or you can take a small amount and invest into a portfolio. But my suggestion to anyone, take part of all the financial apps that is available that have IRAs, because IRAs give you higher interest gains than bank accounts. Take at least $5 and have it contributed into each IRA from your direct deposit activity. If you don't know how to set your direct deposit up to deposit into other accounts, you can definitely check with your HR department. Some of the apps will show you how to set up. I believe Fidelity has instructions on how to do it. They have a system that allows you to set up a direct deposit to go in. Uh, but if not, you can definitely ask HR on how to split your direct deposit into several different contribution deposits. It's very similar to setting a direct deposit to deposit money into several different bank accounts if you ever done that. If you have not, they can help you with that. I do recommend, if you are saving in a bank, shift that money into a IRA. You will get more interest gains. I do not recommend you close your bank accounts. Okay, I had a system crash here. No, actually, it was an app crash. So my app crashed. I guess with all the animation and graphics going on, um, memory took the allocation from the actual recording and just let it starve itself and it crashed. That's the thing about graphics. Whenever you're doing graphic and editing or anything graphical, unfortunately, you gotta have dedicated resources. Other than that, it's just gonna crash. But anyway, I don't suggest that you get rid of your bank accounts when you're transferring your savings into an IRA. Use your bank account to save the interest gains and put that money in there and try not to touch it. I do implore you, try not to touch it. Now, if you have an emergency, by all means, you have to touch your savings, but at least it's there. That's the good thing. The money will be there for an emergency. Um, and the way things are going, you definitely need money for an emergency. So if you can get things settled and normalize where you don't have an emergency, then that would be a great way to actually stockpile some money. So hopefully that helped you out with any ideas on how to save money. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM, or you can leave a comment in the comment section in the video. I'll do my best to reply to any questions, any comments. My other channels, you can actually check out my other content. I do have other means of being contacted. If you look into my profile or my bio, you will see I have an Instagram. You can message me on my Instagram. You can also message me on TikTok, and you can message me on Facebook. I don't know if I added my Facebook Messenger on there, but if you're a Facebook user only, just let me know. I'll send you my Facebook information. I am starting a Patreon. You can definitely message me on my Patreon privately. I would definitely answer any questions you have privately on Patreon also. So hopefully this gives you some insight on how to save in 2024 and beyond. And I hope this helps you out.